What's
All right.
up?
All right, glad
Tuesday.
you're here. Got us a guest tonight. We'll get to David. We'll get to you in just a moment. Thanks for coming on. But yeah, how's everything going? What y'all been up to the last week?
Spring sports started yesterday.
Well, that's a good thing.
I'm
I'll
done.
tell everybody that I just had a Big Mac and fries for dinner.
You gonna add some
Big-
little Debbie? You gonna add some
big-
little Debbie to it?
Big Joshua, full effect for the spring.
Yeah,
My beach body have to wait.
yeah.
I heard that.
Speaking
Well,
of food,
We're done.
Yeah, y'all done basketball.
Done with basketball. I got 2 months and then swim starts. I'm not swimming. I don't look like a swimmer.
You might
My
be.
son-
No,
No,
you
my
don't.
son- no.
All right, Michael Phelps.
You look more like a diver, You know?
Yeah.
I'm a sinker.
Are you actually in a wetsuit right now?
I do know. Could potentially be. Hey, this is appropriate because this is my More Dad sweatshirt for the school.
I love it.
It's for
Yeah.
the dads. So we gotta. So I'm repping the More Dads tonight.
I
love it.
I like it. Yeah, for me, let's see what's my latest. Talked about cancer-free last week, just say that, but I went to the urologist today, so he gave me the old, hey, you're clear today.
You ring the bell?
He
No,
did this.
He had to ring the bell. He didn't have a bell there. That's if I'd gone to the cancer doctor, there.
Okay. I got you.
Oncologist. They had the bell, but he didn't have a bell. But we did talk about how it's great to, get cancer and be cancer-free 3.5 months later. So that was solid. And then tomorrow I go back to the air medical examiner, turn in all my paperwork, and I'm at the mercy of the FAA to get that approved, and then I'll be back flying to friendly skies coming up here. So
There we
Back
go.
to life. Back to reality.
that's my excitement. David,
Yeah,
welcome
that's what's
on with us, brother. Hopefully this will be something that becomes a regular. Trying to get other people on here, which is cool. Here comes Devo. Well, I thought it was Devo. Let me add him. All right. And so, introduce yourself and go from there.
All right, guys. Well, first and foremost, that's awesome being cancer-free, man.
Yeah.
That is powerful right there. Powerful testimony, first of all.
Sure.
Yeah.
Second of all, I'm David. Appreciate you guys having me on, man. This is great. I'm down here in Texas. Maybe you see some of the stuff behind me. I'm a retired firefighter. Now I do mental health training, leadership training of men.
Yeah, I'm messing you up. I'm moving you.
Devo, Eric don't like to be on the bottom.
Hey,
I mean,
Oh, space.
Put the
26,
brothers
we gotta
down,
keep it
like,
diverse,
that's not
baby.
what we
yeah,
trying to
man.
do.
I tell you. Matt be trying to keep a brother down.
Look at there.
I like that
Yeah.
better. Keep it like that.
We've been
I
down
saw
for
it.
way too long. We
I
refuse to
saw
go
his
down
face.
any
He was
further.
not happy.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, oh, they're trying to keep us down here again.
That was like, we got company. We still gonna keep you down.
I don't
Subtleties.
care.
Subtleties.
I don't care where you put me. It's still fine.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, we
welcome
can.
to the family,
Right.
baby.
The problem is not that we don't, it's that they do.
Let's be clear about all this. It's okay.
And you got to set the right boundaries, all right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Exactly. All right, so initiation by fire. Come on in and welcome to the team.
Right.
But okay, jump in a little bit more. Tell what are you building? What's going on? And this is great and important while you're getting here.
Yeah.
Kind of small there.
So a lot about what I do is leadership of men. I found in my 25 years just in the fire department and in other things that I do that, man, leadership in men is not just lacking, it is dying.
Mm-hmm.
We are not initiating our young men the way that they should be from the time they're 12 until the time they're 18. I'm sure you guys know some of the statistics about young men that grow up in homes without a father, right? It is becoming widely a problem. And a lot of what I do is I help men discover, even men that were never initiated from boyhood to manhood, I help them discover identity. And I think that that's a real big thing where we lack in manhood. From boyhood to manhood, you have this gap that is missing, and a lot of it has to do with identity, personal identity, not just biblical, which we can talk all day about that. But a lot of it is personal identity, and these young men are growing up and they're being persuaded by society, and they're being persuaded by TikTok and Instagram and all these other things of what they should be doing, and they're missing the mark. They're missing actually not just their own personal identity, but a lot of them are missing their calling. They're missing their purpose because there's no one there to guide them, right? Especially in a fatherless home. I mean, who are these young men looking up to?
Yeah.
Sure.
Who are they looking at? Who's leading them? Right at the end of the day. And so a lot of what I do is just personal identity, but it's also teaching men how to lead themselves before they step into any other leadership role. I saw it in first responding, just left and right. Grown men walking around acting like boys, acting like adolescents, acting like men that were never initiated from boyhood to manhood. And it's a big problem. And that kind of leadership of themselves directly affects what happens in the firehouse. When you have people's lives in your hand, but you act like an immature little boy, that's not a good mix, for sure. And so I started seeing this problem well over 12 years ago, and I started implementing different programs in my firehouse, which ultimately led to me designing a lot of these other programs that I do with my Lead Me series, which is a series that you've seen, Josh, on TikTok. Yeah. I post a lot of stuff about that. It's about how to lead yourself before you lead other people. So I dubbed it the Lead Me series, because you have to lead me before I lead you. Yeah. And there's a lot of that missing. A lot of people think their thought of leadership is, I just need to do this while I'm at work. Okay. Well, who's leading you when you leave work? Who's leading you when you leave the firehouse? Who's leading you when you step into your home? Is it you, or is it all the other things that are influencing you?
Yeah, we talked about this. I want you to touch on this real quick. And so we talked about this is like in the firehouse, in the military, and other areas. All of a sudden you get put into this leadership role by default because you've been there a while. Yeah. And you see this a lot in hospitals for nursing and all that. It's just because you go and you get a little bit of education, or you get a higher education, but you've never been taught how to lead. Actually, this is a middle management problem across America. It really is. Yeah. Is that, to be honest, my son talks about it all the time with Milwaukee Tools, is that, you see your boss all of a sudden gets promoted because they've been with Milwaukee Tools, for a long time, and they're in a leadership role and they're your boss, and they have never had one leadership discussion or class or being taught in their lives. And all of a sudden they're the leader, and it can be frustrating.
Oh, it can be very frustrating. And at that point in time, they're leading from a place of position rather than power.
Right.
Yeah. They were given a title, and that's the only thing that they know, and that's what they're leading from. And so that's not the bad part. The bad part is people failing them and not putting them in a leadership course, or them just never learning. And then they think that, well, I have a position, you have to do what I tell you to do as leadership. And it's just not.
Yeah.
Just not. So you're right. It is a problem across America. It is an absolute problem within first responder community. I'll tell you that. There's so many guys that get promoted just because they've been there for 10 years, or they took a test and they passed the test. Okay, great. You can pass the test, but can you actually lead? Can you actually influence? Can you give proper instruction? Here's a big one. Can you emotionally manage yourself?
Yeah.
Do you have emotional intelligence?
Right.
Enough to know that if something's bothered you at home, you don't allow that to come out in your leadership. You learn how to deal with that. You learn how to deal with those emotions and break it down and find the origin story before you step into that role at work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna see it come back up. You see that all the time. We've all seen it where someone comes into work, they're in a bad mood, and they take it out on everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that happen in the, like, you guys, Eric and Devo, in the school system? Does that happen in the school system too? Like teachers moving their way up? I know Devo, obviously going to school, smart, you have all of those things, but does that happen without the degrees and the experience and all of that stuff? Like, does that happen in education too?
Why, yes, Dr. Carson says it does happen quite often.
Hey, probably you're sandwiched between two doctors. That's what
Right.
you're.
Yeah, you're in between
Hey,
right now.
You got Dr.
David-
Hart, Dr. Carson here.
Hey,
Yeah.
David, first and foremost, brother, it's a pleasure to meet you. I don't know you, but I already like you. And so I
Thank
think
you.
you're spot on. Like I'm sitting here, my mind is just racing because I want to pop off, but I'm trying to pull some of that back because I'm trying to practice good leadership, right? And so, like, the first thing with good leadership is you don't get caught up in your emotions. And I was just sitting there thinking, you talked about position power, but not only are people given position power, but they're also given the rights to go forth and check whatever box that they feel deemed necessary. And so, like, it just gets real convoluted real quick. And so I think you do have a lot of people leading those positions. And it's funny, I had a really good experience today. Like, I just started in this new position, and so I have a team of about 9, where I'm used to having about a team of 50. Right. And so, like, one of my team members today said was, hey, you know that spreadsheet you sent me? It was wrong. And I was like, initially I felt myself get like, I felt myself get a little gas. And I was like,
A little tense.
Cool, bet. Like, I appreciate you sharing that, because I always say the feedback is the spice of life, right? Like, give me all the feedback in the world. And because what I want to know is when I have a misstep as a leader, to go back and I want to own that. Like, I think the first best practice of being a leader is saying, I don't know, I don't have all the answers. Like, and the collective sum is much better than any fragmented piece. And so I think that's extremely important when it comes to leadership. And I think in today's society, like, once I get anointed, once I get blessed and they put the little cross on my head, then I no longer have the right to say, you know what? This shit is beyond me. Like, I have no idea of what it is they're talking about. Like, and so now I always try to say, even if I'm just like 50-50, I'd be like, you know what? I don't know. What do you think? Like, I always try to throw that thing back on the group so that it can be collective, because I've always tried to lead from a position of, if we are all working together, and if we know that, I can tell them all the time, like, this isn't the Devon show. Like, this is not the Devon show. The marquee does not say Devon Carson out front. And so it's going to be dependent on all of us to put forth all of our intelligence to pull them together to figure out what's going to be the best solution for our team. And I think that's the hard part. Like, once I've been anointed, it's hard for me to reach back and say, hey, I need a little help. Or, hey, let me get your insight to add to this to make it even better than what it is. And so that's what I see a lot of times in education. And that's where the ship goes awry. I'm a Navy guy, by the way. So that's
Hey, thanks.
That's my 2 cents.
Yeah,
Hey.
he was a Marine. He was a Marine, Devo. You missed that.
Hey, you boys are welcome. We don't mind taking you around. We all right. Hey, we all friends in the end. You know what I'm saying? But y'all go out there and fight first, though, okay?
Yeah.
You know what Marine stands for, right?
It depends. Go ahead.
My ass rides and Navy equipment.
That's right.
Facts.
Exactly.
I ain't mad at you. Hey, you welcome any day, brother.
Thanks,
Eric,
for sure.
Eric, what you got? Add to it.
I don't work in higher ed anymore. I don't know what it's like. I've been gone for a while. It was a wild west when I was there. You see the good, you see the bad. you don't take for granted the opportunities when you do have them. Try to assemble a team around you that are smarter than you are. I mean, that's industry standard. Devo knows this. When we rock together at App State and other places, like you want to have the smartest people around you. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
I even remember the opportunity that I had to be an athletic director at one of the institutions that I was in, and I craved having smart people around me, coaches, the like, because someone else had a solution. Now, where I thought I brought some things was that I love data, and it informs my decisions. So if I was not quick to make a decision, it could have been that I still was stewing on and chewing on data to inform the decisions that needed to be made, whether it was inside the campus, whether it was within the conference, and then you make a decision. Your coaches respected you. But to Josh's question, does it happen? Yeah, there's some opportunities that are presented,
Right.
whether or not the person is ready for it or not. But
I like how you're presenting that.
have I been polished? Am I putting polish
You're
on?
very polished on that. Yeah.
No, it's all good. But no. It happens. You just have to see it when it's there. If you happen to be in an environment where maybe someone is not prepared or ready or whatnot, I think the greatest gift you can give them is just the support that they need. They're in that chair. I mean, you can come home and cuss and fuss to the people that love you and show up the next day ready to support, and then just continue to grind, do the things that you need to do for whenever opportunities come, or other things that you can really focus your attention on that doesn't, sap your time when you're, in the midst of something that might be things you don't necessarily agree with. When I always say, like, wielding power without really kind of understanding the responsibility that comes with it, that can be very dangerous for people. Because you could be in the situation where you're letting someone go because your feelings, rather than you really measure what they did or did not do. You just had the power to do it, and you did it without understanding, does that person know institutional history? Does that person have the finger on the pulse of the people internal or external to the campus? You don't necessarily know that. You're just willing to just exercise that abuse of power and just start swinging an axe. So I've seen it on both sides. I know with
what you did see, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what you did see is how I met Eric is my son went to play soccer at D3 school where Eric was in the athletic department.
Yep.
So you saw a lot of young men coming in that they had not been built up in the long run, or the gaps, because we've talked about that before, just like with education. Have you signed up for your classes? Have you done all that? Where you saw, and I want you to touch on that, because you saw a lot of these young men needing their hand held, in some of the ways.
I didn't necessarily see that at Guilford, to be honest with you, because a lot of the students that were there were prepared, I thought.
Yeah.
And I was in a different role. But if I step back and go to other places that I've been over the summary of my work, there were times where you were spending more time than necessary to, handhold, as you're mentioning. You're wondering, like, wow, man, what in the world are we doing this professional babysitting service? Like, that if I tell this one story, you'll know exactly what school I'm talking about. But I had to go in and monitor these guys, make sure they're going to class. I see one walk right out of the building, go across the street, get on a bus, and go on back to, to practice, or at least go back to the gym. And the teammates are looking at me like, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, what can I do? If he's going to get on his bus and go back home, he's already made a decision. And I saw that quite a bit, but those are the things that really summarize, well, okay, these are the things that I've seen. This is not what I would say I would allow to happen if I was in charge. But I also would want to hold people to a standard to say, look, if we operate in excellence, we don't let these things happen, because it'll come back to bite us in some form or fashion. Folks are always watching, whether they're watching you because they work for you, or they're external. Maybe it's a parent, or it's a conference competitor. Somebody's always watching you. They either want you to come work with them, they want to see you in another opportunity. There's always someone watching.
And
standard of
Culture.
excellence. Yeah.
Just the culture. I mean, I think that's where the change in the guards, or we did it at UVA this year with basketball. Like this whole the culture change. You still want to have this high level of excellence, but you also have what you've got down here, Matt. Like it's daily discipline every day.
Yeah.
You got to be present. You got to have leadership. You got to be consistent, or all of that falls off. Tournament time, finals, whatever it is, it has to be consistent. But there's a culture that is created by who's in charge, whether it's their individual selfish culture or, like Debo was saying, like it's we got to do it together, not be scared to or shy to reach out to people around us and go, hey, I don't know. But the culture has to remain intact, especially if you're in a person of leadership. Like there's some tough decisions. I'm sure Debo had to make them. I'm sure we've all had to make those in tough decisions of like, man, that's a friend, or that's a family, or that's a whatever. You're like, man, but you're causing issues in my culture.
Yeah.
But it's the guardrails that we all talk about too.
Yeah. So bottom line, what it says down there, modern men often rise to the big moments, but fatherhood is built in the daily disciplines of presence, leadership, and consistency, right?
Yeah.
And that's really, we talk about parenting constantly. So Dave, we need you to tell us about your kids, because you do have kids and all that. But this is it. If we're not taking care of the discipline in our own lives, how can we be a positive role model for our kids? Or how can we be a positive role model for the people that work for you, to your point, Devo? I mean, you're setting the standard, and if you're not setting the standard, like how can you hold people to a higher standard? Sometimes catch-22, we'll talk about this. And Gary V says this, if y'all have seen it, Gary Vaynerchuk, but somebody asked him a question in an interview is like, well, how do you,
Gary V.
Yeah.
A lot there, man.
But this is great because
you can beep out when he said what he said.
Did I go in and out?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
You're like,
Gary
Gary V was like,
Gary V. But somebody asked him in the interview, I'm with you, but somebody asked Gary V in an interview about, do you hold your employees or the people that work for you to the same standard as you? You do, to a point, but he's like, I'm always on point. I'm always going at 110. He goes, so yeah, I hold them to a standard, but they're not going to be able to do everything that I'm doing, or why would they? It's my company, Sorry.
That's the difference in, I think, being a boss and being a manager, or being in a leadership role and taking the title and being like, well, I'm the CEO or I'm the boss. No, bro. Like it's all of us. Yes, I'm gonna hold you to this standard. I'm gonna hold myself up here, but you still have to rise to that level. I'm not asking you to get to me, because if you could, then you'd be doing what I'm doing. But
and I love the point that Dave talked about in this. I can't remember the exact title of his program, but in education, we have a program called The Leader in Me. And like it takes a while to develop oneself to get to that point. Like when I first started out in this leadership journey, like you couldn't tell me nothing. I thought I hung the moon. And so I was strictly riding position power. Now that I'm trying to bring everybody along. And so like if you fall short in the area, my job is to develop you. Like I truly see that as I'm going to develop you. And if you don't want to be developed, then that brings about a whole nother situation. You may not be the right person in the right seat on the right bus. You just need to catch a different bus somewhere else. But conversations we will have along the way. But as a leader, like I think about God, man, and jerked the knot in me and was like, give me like tons of grace. You know what I'm saying? To come back online. All right, Devon, you screwed the pooch here. Let's try it again. You screwed the pooch there. Let's try it again. And
that's called grace.
Like initially, as when I first started as a leader in my 20s, like I was mofos off at the knees. Like when we were RA. Like I think some of our biggest things were trying to go out and catch people smoking weed. You know what I'm saying? And just like like we were Johnny Law, Gunsmoke, Matt Dillon, and not that
He was a detective. He was a drug detective.
This guy's got a problem, and to come on alongside of him, and maybe not necessarily witness to him, but you know what I'm saying, and to figure out what's going on and what area could I intervene to help him. Now, 20 and 50 is 30 years. There's 3 decades of learning there. So I've had a lot of turn to adapt and change my leadership perspective. But like as of now, like it's truly about we're better together. Like let's get it. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
David,
I agree. I agree 100% with you. I remember when I first became a lieutenant at the firehouse, and I promoted from being a driver, EO operator, to a lieutenant. I didn't have the mentorship program. I did not have all the programs that I ended up putting together for this department. I had basically, okay, we think you're ready. You're going to take this role. You've been in. We've been watching you for so long. Okay, it's time for you to promote. And I thought it was okay at the time. What I didn't know, I didn't know. And what I didn't know at the time was I didn't have the right leadership above me to transition me properly from one position to another. I got thrown into it, and I thought I was king. I was like, watch out, I got bugles kind of deal. I didn't walk around that way, but that's what was kind of going on in my head, right? It's like, okay, now I'm a lieutenant. Now what? Okay, now I have to ride the seat. Now I have to lead men into possible certain death. Now I have to be the shepherd over these men that are in my care every single shift. If you don't have the proper kind of transition in that kind of setting, man, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of tension. And it was literal trial by fire.
Yeah.
Literal trial.
But people were older and younger than you, right?
Oh yeah. So I had guys that were older than me that are looking to me for answers. And here I am, this 26-year-old kid going, yeah, I got it. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, imposter syndrome, take over. You don't got it. You got a problem. You need to figure this out. And so I had an ego. Yep. I had an ego. I thought I was like, oh, well, I'm a lieutenant. That doesn't mean anything. And it took me a long time to figure that out. And as a matter of fact, I spent most of my lieutenantship actually doing a lot of things wrong. And then I got promoted to captain. It was when I got promoted to captain that I really had to go back, and I almost had to dismantle my entire way of thinking.
Yeah.
And I had to relearn what leadership really is. I got humbled multiple times. And in those moments, it's like, I've been doing this wrong.
Yeah.
And I had to go back. And then what I really learned out about leadership has nothing to do with the title. Nothing to do with the title. It has everything to do with your influence, because leadership is influence. You cannot lead those people that you antagonize. You can't lead people from a place of false identity, because they'll read right through it. If you're not being authentic and you're not living fully in your given identity, they're gonna pick you out of the litter and go, I followed this guy just because he's got a title and just because he has a position. I haven't really given him my trust internally for him to lead me. I'm following him because he has position. That's the positional leadership that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So people follow you because you have a position. Well, that's what they were doing when I was a lieutenant.
Yeah.
And then when I became a captain, it was like, I've been doing this wrong.
Yeah.
And again, I had to dismantle like 10 years worth of leadership and then start over. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough, but I did it, and then I built programs on top of that, and it completely transformed what I knew of leadership. Now, I had leadership in the military, but let me tell you, and Matt can attest to it, and so can Diva, military leadership is way different than civilian world.
Way different.
Way different. Now, the principles are the same, in a lot of it, but the way it's carried out is completely different, right? I respected the shit out of my first sergeant, okay, but he was an ass.
Yeah.
Okay, you step out into the civilian life with that kind of attitude that he had. Oh, no one's lasting. He's an HR nightmare.
That's an HR nightmare right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of leadership, going from that to the fire department. Fire department is pseudo kind of military, right? But it's different. You're still in civilian world. You still have to do things different. So I brought that level of what I thought leadership was from military into the department. And it worked on some people, but a lot of people it didn't.
Yeah. Totally different world.
That's the stuff I had to dismantle over a period of time. So like what you were saying, I had 25 years, and I what I thought leadership was not, and I had to fix it, and I had to go back. But what I found out through that process was stripping me of my old identity of what I thought I was, rebuilding the God-given identity that I was born to have, and then leading from that authenticity. And that's like, again, that's what I teach a lot of men, is that identity comes first for leadership.
Being humbled will do that to you
Oh, big time.
over and over. What's Dr. Huxtable got? He done pulled something off the shelf.
No, it was when David was talking, and I was like, as soon as he said influence, I was like, oh, I pulled out that John Maxwell book, How Successful People Lead.
Yeah.
And you hit the nail on the head, because we're talking about it's the influence that moves the needle. And too often we're level one position, and we're talking about that. A lot of people lead from level one, and I always call it that Pied Piper, when you're sitting there blowing your horn and looking back and nobody's following you. You're just taking a long walk,
Yep.
And so and I see that I see that quite a bit. Now, I don't necessarily see that where I am now, because we're all independent owners of our business and stuff. So you eat what you cook and kill. It's all on you. So I'm a leader of one, even though I'm in an office with a lot of other entrepreneurs. It's just really at the end of the day on me, how successful I want my business to be. So, but I don't forgive or forgo those things that are important, the leadership qualities that you have to keep inside the entrepreneurial space. But I don't miss in some days, I don't miss macro level leadership with a lot of people around me and stuff. I don't miss that at all. But it is something that's still important, because it resonates with everything you said, because I could name names and call situations where, yep, that person's still stuck in level one. They might be in their 50s and 60s, but they're still stuck in level one.
It's so hard to work in an organization where the leadership is, you're working underneath somebody and the leadership is poor.
It's
It is so hard to
It's
do
so
that.
hard.
Yeah. And
Well, and relationships in general are like that. If you're talking about pull it like to a friend group, if you're that friend and you're like, bro, why am I always pulling? Like, I need you to push, or vice versa. It works the same way, but in leadership in an organization or in your home, your kid, like we can't do it alone. You have to give, like Debo said, collectively, we got to figure out whether it's kids giving a voice, the spouse getting a voice, employees getting a voice. Hey, we're going to try to do this together. Again, difference in a boss and a manager. Like, do what I say, and like, hey, let's do it. Let's go there together. It's wild. It works. It works on everything. It has to work on everything.
how old are your kids?
Mine?
Yeah.
One's 15 tomorrow.
There we go.
15. One
March babies. Whoop whoop.
6, 4, and 2.
You're in the grind, so I'm no longer the caboose of the group.
Yeah.
No, you're in the caboose. David's the caboose.
You're the caboose now.
Yeah, that's right.
Somebody's got to do it.
You're the caboose now. I joined up with 8 and 12 and was like, man, y'all always talking about college age, out, getting married, all this other stuff. So I was sitting there soaking in, you know, everything they had to say. I said, don't let the gray hairs fool you, because I waited too late to get started.
For me, 29, 26, and 29, 26, and 22. Josh, what do you got?
20 and 15, almost 16 next month.
There you go. Devo, what do you got?
22 and 20 at the end of the month, and a 12-year-old.
There we go.
You got some lottery numbers, Matt. You write all that down.
That is.
Mega Man.
We splitting it regardless. I don't care
Yeah.
what Mark's about it. We are splitting that sucker.
We got some lottery numbers. I'll play Mega Millions. Y'all play Powerball and just split it up.
Yeah. Here's my point, and we'll transition back into that. It's like we got all different ages and all that, but David, you hit on it earlier, right? It's you know, and you're doing it. We talk about this all the time, but Eric, you're doing it with your kids. You're building leaders. Josh, you're doing it with your kids. Devo, you've done it with yours, and I know I know my son is and my daughters have been beat up with it, you know, the leadership and hearing me talk about it and all that. But that's our job as parents, right?
Yep.
That's our job, really, because we just established that we've all sat in that job and in that position, and we've looked around and we're like, you suck as a leader, you suck as a leader, you're a horrible leader, you're a good leader, you're a great leader. And so that's, again, we talk about this all the time, David. As dads, we're the ones who want our kids to be better than us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's our job as parents to raise our kids to be better than us. And this is a huge part of it to me with my kids is being good leaders, being good stewards in life and doing all that. So I'll take that and run with it.
No, absolutely.
We're not going to be here. We're not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
I don't know who, so, you know, you guys know I go a couple layers deep on here, but I was in Tennessee this weekend with a mom, 20, her husband, 22, have a 2-year-old and a 7-month-old with cystic fibrosis and lots of health issues.
God.
And I spent my time Saturday and Sunday, my community, all that stuff, got their wish list and we went, hung out and all that stuff. But I went to bed, I think Saturday night, and I'm like, I have a 20-year-old. Like, could she, would she, how was she, did I? So this same conversation of consistency and leadership and all that stuff, I'm like, ain't no way. Could I have done it at 20? Ain't no way.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a different, I was in awe, one, of them. And just to think that there's 20, my parents did it. My parents had, they have 3 of them by the time they were 23. And it just goes to, you just have to figure it out. You got good people around you, or you create that culture and you just step up. It's step up. It's the daily does she want to do that? They made the choice, obviously, but it's like, man, I didn't ask for the health issues, but I'm gonna figure it out. She wasn't asking for a handout. She didn't have help. She didn't have any of that stuff. It was him and her. And you just look back and you're like, man, was I prepared? Are my kids prepared? Do normal 20-year-olds have to deal with that? They were in the hospital for a week with CF. They're in the hospital once a month. I'm like, how do you function?
Yeah.
Josh, this is what we do. We just have to. I'm a mom. I'm a dad. That's just what we do. So it's all about preparedness. And I think that's obviously what we're talking about. The pressure is on. When the pressure's on, you got to step up. Not everybody has a handout. Not everybody has, enabling, because we've all done that, enabling with our kids or with coworkers or with relationships or whatever. I mean, sometimes you have to step up and just lead, because this is just what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are moments that call you to step up and lead, even when you're not ready.
Yeah.
And some of that, that's life. You'll have to figure it out as you go. But the lessons you pull from that should be pretty great. It should help you build character and help you build certain things. But it's also teaching them that you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
There's community. There are people. There, not just prayer, but I mean, you look at us, if one of us needed something, you might reach out to the other person. You don't have to do it alone. Iron sharpens iron, like we talk about. And, it takes a village a lot of times. And so that's what I want my son to understand, is that if you start feeling like you're walking into something alone, stop, reach out. Pick up the phone. Don't be afraid to call your dad. Don't be afraid to call someone who's walked there before or who has that life experience. That's what I want. I don't want my kids like growing up thinking that they're isolated on an island somewhere. I want them to pick up the phone and say, Dad, I need you. I need help. I need advice. Mom, I need you. I need help. I need advice, whatever the case may be, rather than trying to go it alone and then figuring out down the road, I should have called my dad. He's done this before, and then it's too late. You know.
Well, but that starts with that leadership begins at home, right? So I know everybody on here does a good job. Is that you have to open those lines of communication early when they're young. When they're young, they have to know that they can talk to you, and that goes, being present. And I think that that's so important that you really start when they're young and you build it over time and they have that trust that they know when they're in that need, they can turn and they can come to you.
Yeah.
And that's not easy. I mean, because again, most parents want to lead with authority. It's a leadership, learning how to lead, learning how to communicate. It's important.
I was looking at some of the content on the email, Matt, leading up to it, and then as you have the prompters about leadership begins at home, I was thinking if I was going to share this, and I'll edit some of the names or whatever. But Ethan had a situation last week at school towards the end. It's carried over into this week where if people are just being really, really unkind to him, and just folks that he thought he was close to. Now, close at 11, 12, there's perspective in that. I try to tell him, you're not going to know anybody 10, 15 years from now. So keep it in perspective. But the friendship thing matters. And it matters to me that it matters to him. But I could tell it hurt his feelings. And we had to sit and talk through some of those things because it was random, but then it was also pointed. One kid, said something to him, kind of paraphrasing, hey, you want to go rob somebody here in the school because that's what black people do. The kid told him that, you want to do that? And he's like, what? Someone told him that he wasn't athletic because he was a little bit bigger than some of the other kids. But I'm sitting here thinking, well, dang, if you're going to get thick like your dad, that's actually a good thing. Don't worry about that. That's called genetics. They don't understand that. Right. Don't worry. And then some, people had told him, he has been really hanging on this thought about North Carolina State and MIT as colleges that he's interested in. He's 12. We'll figure it out. But hey, if that's what you're thinking about, let's do it. But then he learned the lesson of don't share your dreams with everybody. Even 11, 12-year-olds can't understand that because when they tell you you're not smart enough to go to MIT, maybe someone's told them that they're not smart enough. And he's thinking about it, pursuing it in his mind. And these are aspirations for him. And now it's time for mom and dad to come and love on him. And so I reminded him, I said, well, first of all, let's start with the basics. What is your name? And he said his name. I said, what is your full name? He said his full name. I said, okay. Did anybody call you by your full name? No. Okay. So you don't answer to anything that's not your full name or your legal name. I said, but you're also a child of God. You're a righteousness of God in Christ. If they didn't say that to you, you don't answer to anything else. So now it was kind of like we were layering with the surface. What's your name? Then you're layering peppering on top of the spiritual, the things that God has called you to be, even at a young age. You got to hold on to that because those are the things that are the building blocks, the things that will actually galvanize all of that surface stuff. Because now you got an extra layer of protection around you, so that if you forget who you are on the surface, you know who you are in the spirit. And so when we got to talking, I started to talk to him about, son, I know that you felt bad and you wanted to fight. And I said, son, I'm tell you, like I saw on a YouTube clip, TikTok, I said, you got two dogs. You got that anger dog and you got that lust dog. And you got to learn how to keep them on a leash. I said, because once you let that leash go, now I got to go to school and kind of explain why you didn't keep your dog on a leash. And I said, you only got one reason why you can ever put your hand on someone. That's because they put their hand on you. And I always give you permission to protect yourself, so that when I walk into the school and I ask what happened and the parent is there saying, why did your son hit me? I'll look at my son and say, what did you do? And he said, Dad, I hit this person. And then I'm gonna look at the teacher or the principal or the parent and say, my son let his dog off the leash. And the only reason why he did it is because your son hit him first, because he knows not to touch you or touch your son at all. It's non-negotiable. And so the pride that he started to feel, the smile that was replaced, the frown was replaced with the smile, was building him to the point where he actually saw me in the school having that conversation with anybody if that were to happen to him, because he knows I'll be there for him. But I also wanted to make sure that he was empowered to feel like, hey, I know the rules in my house. I know when to strike and when not to. I know how to keep my dogs on the leash. And then I pivoted and I said, he said, Dad, what was the second dog? I said, well, you don't have to worry about that right now. You're about to go through puberty. That's the lust dog. And we'll talk about that. I'll tell you about that dog. But right now, we got to worry about this anger dog. You know? But it was the coolest thing, because
only got one dog right now, son. We are only doing one dog.
We got two, but we're only dealing with one.
Right.
I was blessed, and I think I told you guys this. I was blessed when this guy told me to watch that, because it changed how I focus on how I talk to my kids. And when this happened to him, you know, I just reminded him. I said, son, I said, I know you want to let that dog off the leash, but you gotta learn how to keep it healed, and let us talk through strategy. So I say all that to say that yes, this is really important. It's very intentional for me having young boys, because I know that, and as we got off the air last Tuesday, we got to let our hair down a little bit, but the world is cruel. And they was talking about, you know, there's people in leadership and other things that don't necessarily deserve to be there. And that can be anything, any level of leadership. But when you're even talking about kids on the surface level, just being so cruel to one another, how is your child going to react, whether it's an elementary middle situation, whether it's high school, whether it's college, or whether it's a boss who's trying to be a jerk, or trying to be, you know, fill in the blank to your daughters or whatnot. And so this resonates because it's something that's always constantly on my mind with my boys.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that a step further for you. You also got to teach him when to let that dog off, and when you let it off, you let it off. Because my son's been in one fight in his life, and it was at Guilford, and there was a dude that played baseball, and it was a bad situation, man. And when you fight, y'all know, everybody, y'all been in a fight. Who's been in a fight? Right? You're not going to stand up there. You're not going to.
Devo's like, you lied, Devo.
You never been in a fight, Devo? Not one.
I cannot confirm or deny.
I think Devo drove me to one.
Come on, watch this, Eric.
Hey,
Joe's.
John, I'm just messing with you, but like, you know, there's a time to let that dog off the leash.
Yeah,
even before that first punch comes, right? And
well, I think that's what David was saying too. Like we're talking about like emotional maturity. Like you can back me into a corner, I'm gonna take a lot because of the emotional maturity that I have gained. However, if you push too far, I don't want to swing, but I will. I might swing and turn around and run real fast, but you push me to that point. But to your point, yeah, there's a point when it's got to be let off the leash too. But at 12, no.
Yeah. In this circle here, yes, I agree with you, 10 toes down. But also talking about emotional maturity to take it a next step is that I also have to be aware that I'm raising two black boys. And as much as I want the dogs to be off the leash, I also have to realize that there are certain times where I can't let them let that dog off the leash because it's too much to lose in the world that we live in. And I didn't make those rules. I live by those rules, and I'm aware that they are there. But my son is big for 11, 12. He's big. We just bought shoes the other day. He's wearing a men's 11. He's 11. Dude.
See that kid on the football field?
So like,
did you say he was swimming in too much? He should be on 2 a day.
Hey, he's got
At
that
this point.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy to
Hey.
watch him grow up. But again, if he has any of that aggression that his father had, Devo co-sign on that. It might cost him more than
No, I get that.
So
That was pre-Dr. Hart.
Oh yeah, free.
Very
yeah.
free, Dr. Hart. I don't even know that was post high school.
Hey, that's teaching your son through life lessons learned. That's what that is.
That's what it is.
Because those preemptive strikes have a lot of consequences, and you can't walk that back sometimes, no matter how much I want to, prepare him for, hey, knuck if you buck, but it comes with consequences, unfortunately.
Sometimes they have to learn that lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you have to let them walk through that lesson. I mean, you can say it till you're blue in the face, and sometimes they have to experience it. Yeah. Unfortunately, right? You want better for them, but there's a point in time where, like, all right, go find out how to set a boundary by walking through it. And they walk.
We're not talking about necessarily fighting. We're not talking about necessarily fighting. We're talking about in every walk of life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it could just. I mean, we want the best for our children, but there will be times when it's like,
I think Matt said it.
We talk about this all the time, society, and I bring this up, David, a lot. My wife works in the pediatric ED of Baptist Hospital. Anyway, Baptist Hospital here. There's a lot of Baptist hospitals, but here's the point. The point is like, it's a 24-bed unit, and the other day they had 16 psych patients in there. And so we have a parenting problem. To me, in my mind, we have a parenting crisis in America where we are not holding our kids accountable and teaching them the things that they need to stand on their own 2 feet. And that's the problem. I think that's what this podcast really, what we talk about all the time, is how are we going to teach those young men and those young women to stand on their own 2 feet, because we're not always going to be there. Josh has a daughter in college. Devo has one that's graduated and another one in college. And I have basically 2 that are out that have graduated and one that's graduating in May. And we're not there. We're not there. So it's our job to raise these kids, these young men, these young women, they can go out and they can stand on their own, because we're not there to hold their hand. But we have a problem because inside of our hospitals, they cannot even keep enough beds because they have so many psych patients. How did we get to the point where we have so many psych patients and the parents are just going in and throwing up their hands? Well, guess what? It starts with you.
All right.
It starts with that belt. Go ahead, Devo. Look how he's froze.
Look at Devo's face.
Look how Devo's face froze. Like, he's got a thought.
frozen.
Please let me say something.
Well, this is just and so I keep looking at that question. Leadership begins at home. Leadership begins at home. Leadership begins at home. I don't think we're often prepared.
Influence begins at home.
Yeah. But even with this said influence, I don't know how to cultivate it. I don't think we know how to deliver on it. I don't think we know how to use it. We got kids raising kids. Like, that's the box society today. Like, we have watered down, we've dumbed down this society so much that we it's like we're playing a video game. It's like there's no actual consequences for our actions. Like, that's the message that we send our kids today. And so, like, if I want to go out there and I want to vape, or if I want to go out, I want to smoke 3 blunts, or if I want to go out there and take a fifth straight to the head, if I want to get behind the wheel of my car, go ahead. Yo, mom, dad, we got you. If I go that's long enough, then we're going to try to wiggle our way out of this situation. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The school system said, the one I work for, the one my wife works for, like, we have totally disregard reality. Like, there's no accountability anymore. I tell you what, Geneva Brown, the best principal, second, well, 1A and 1B. Geneva, God bless both of the souls, right? like Geneva Brown used to. I thought I was smart one day and stuck toboggan down my pants, and she went to wear my tail out. She reached her hand down in my pants, pulled out my toboggan, and then called my dad off of work, where he had to get off of work, his hourly job, to check out, to come see what my brown tail was doing. Do you know I tail on the way home?
It wasn't brown tail no
At
more.
school,
It wasn't brown tail no
in front
more.
of the class, like he wore my tail out 3 times before we even got back in the ride.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, not to mention gas was same price it is now, about $3.50 a gallon, right? So like all of that stuff convolute, like it just hits different. Kids today, parents today, we are more satisfied in just being a child's friend. Like, I just want to ride with you, experience some of the same things that you experience. Like, no, you've lived. Enjoy where you are. Like, whether you got what you want out of it or not, it is yours, and you owned it, and you made those decisions. But now it's time to make sure you pour into your child to get what he or she deserves. And so, like, I don't think we're ever ready for leadership at home. Like, it's a thing that you develop, or pray to God that you make the right decisions along the way. But I'm not necessarily sure that you ever are ready at the onset. Like, it's a developmental piece to it. And so, like, David, your program, when you're talking about how do I lead myself, like, where do I gain the skills that I need to sustain my leadership? Like, where do I get the conundrum to advance? That's exactly what it takes, man. Like, we're not there from like out the gate. Like, we have to continuously develop ourselves and sit up underneath great leadership to know that. And so it takes, like, all you old ass cats to pour into all these young cats to make sure. Yeah, you Josh.
You the oldest one
Josh,
here.
sipping on your matcha.
Yeah, actually, he's younger.
Oh, is Matt the oldest one here? My bad.
It's Matt. Might be Dave. I don't know. That beard, just for men sitting up in there.
Yeah.
I counted like 25 years in the
I talked to him 2 days ago. It was not that color 2 days ago. He is.
I'm telling you.
I'm
telling you, I got a lot of friends who hate me.
David got Instagram ready, huh?
I'm 45 this year. I just turned 45, and I don't touch this.
These babies in here, man.
Nice.
Watch
I got a little gray.
Start vetting people, man.
I'm still the baby then. Dang, you just turned 40.
Get in where you fit in, baby.
Yeah, let me get out here with the old folks.
Put the old heads up top.
Go back over so you're far left, then put Devo in the middle and put me on the other side.
So we got.
So we can do the order right. So
we get the order right.
One more. There we go. now we got the order right.
Hold on, Josh. How old are you, Josh?
Listen, as long as I'll be the baby and the princess right
Josh,
here.
how old are you?
I'll be 45 in July.
What are you, David?
45.
You
and
just
when?
turned 45.
You just turned it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
January.
All right. Now we got it. Now it's
I'm
right. That's proper order.
And I'm 51 on Friday.
Hey,
Sir.
nice, man. Happy early birthday.
Get it kicked off. Let's go.
Well, I'm going back to Topgolf, Devo.
When's your birthday, Devo?
Okay. I'm March 29th. I'm at the end of the month, baby.
And then I'm an April baby.
Okay. So I am the oldest then, huh?
How old are you?
53.
Oh, you're 53. Okay, so you are the oldest. Hold up.
He is
What's
old.
up? Hey, pay homage.
Yeah, let's get this right.
Hey, well, I'm supposed to be over here. If I'm
Huh?
I'm the baby. I got to go over here.
Oh, you're the baby?
Hey,
Damn.
hey, David, you see how everybody geeking out over this position power, right? Exactly what we've been talking
That's
about.
leadership. By default, Devo, you're the leader.
We all in trouble.
He said, put me at the top.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, look, we're up at 10 o'clock. We're up at 10 o'clock. And so what we're going to do, everybody talk a little bit. And Devo, Devo already said something. Eric, you got anything you want to say? Josh, you got anything you want to say?
Real quick, Devo said it. Dave, he said there's something about you that he likes. We got a friend in Florida. His name is Chris McDonald. Got to get him on here. First day I laid eyes on that guy, I knew that guy was gonna be my heart. And you remind us a lot of Chris Mack. So I concur with Devo. You'll be a friend of life, friend for life.
I love that, guys. Yeah.
But Dave, you got to get a bow tie though. You're gonna be Chris Mack.
Oh yeah,
right. You got to get the bow tie.
Get the bow tie game.
I started doing this series called From the Notes, like on TikTok and all my stuff. So where I put notes and stuff. And this is what I said today, and it fits. It says, you can have all the talent, the looks, the charisma, the perfect upbringing, and all of it. But if you're inconsistent, none of it matters.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow. Well, that could
very true. Be consistent.
That consistency falls directly in line with identity and authenticity.
Yep.
And if you're not living your life in your home life, in your business life, especially in home life, well, what are we modeling for our children if you're not being authentic and not living in your God-given identity? You're trying to be something else that you're not.
Yep.
You know, that consistency comes from a place of authenticity. You will never be consistent if you're living in a false identity of something.
Sure.
So,
yeah. All right. So, I'll take it out.
I love that, Josh. Thanks for sharing that.
Yep, for sure.
So I'll take it out with this. Greatest gift you can give your children is a father who shows up each and every day.
Every day.
Facts. Every day. There's no days off, right? When you're a father, you got to show up every day. You got to be there. You know, and that's the key. And unfortunately, you know, as they get older, those conversations are a little bit spread out and all that. But be there when your phone rings, pick it up, answer. Yeah. Hey, this topic right here, we didn't even touch a third.
Nope.
What was on the
We probably need to do it again next week.
We might need to come back to it and revisit it and all that. So let's keep it going. David, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, David, thank you.
This is a great thing. The more fathers we can get together, the more impact that we can make. So we'll learn more about what you're doing and keep doing it. All right. Everybody have a good night.
Love you, boys. Take care.
Wake Forest will ACC
championship. Oh, nice. Did they?